Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of ManHound Sound Sessions. I'm your host, Bill Wardlow. Our guest today, Corey Phillips of Forest Fox. Corey's from just north of Mount Orb, Ohio. He's been writing songs since he was a teenager. As I mentioned, he's the frontman for Forest Fox. He was also the host of The Late Show with Corey Phillips. So he's comfortable on a microphone, and being it's my first podcast, I was extremely nervous, and Corey made it really easy. So thanks, Corey. We had a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. I hope you do as well. So here's Corey Phillips. Welcome to the podcast, Corey.
Well, hey, thanks for having me, Billy. It's a real honor to be on the first episode here, and man, I gotta say, you're doing something really awesome.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's really something we need more of out here. I mean, we don't have like podcasters everywhere, you know.
And right now, there just doesn't seem to be much of a scene around here.
Yeah,
And I'm really hoping to change that.
Well, I think you're doing something really big for it, man. I think representation is really something that makes a lot of difference, especially now that everything can be on the internet. You know, just having something as simple as a podcast, you know, that really, really makes a big difference to a local music scene.
Right. It's nice to find out a little bit about the local musicians and songwriters around here, too.
Absolutely. That's something I think that really, I don't know, it kind of brings it together, I feel like, because when you have a place where people can go to that's kind of centralized in at least a way where, like, you have so you've got like a page, you know, just something where people can go to and check out new artists and bands. You know, they might not know how to look for them, so it's cool to have someone actually doing that. You're kind of curating artists in a way.
That's a nice way to think about it. So let's delve right in. How'd you get started writing?
Well, man, I guess the first thing that really got me writing was when I was 14. I started listening to a lot of emo music. I really loved Bright Eyes. I still do. Started listening to a lot of Conor Oberst recordings. Was really into Modest Mouse too. I had a friend that got me into those guys, and I was still trying to figure out like what kind of music I liked, I guess. But the lyrics that I really I guess got impacted by the most were just pretty much anything I could get a hold of that was by Bright Eyes. I really loved his songwriting style, and it just kind of spoke to me in a lot of ways. And I don't know, I guess that's kind of what made me want to be a songwriter, is just like knowing that songs have a way of reaching people that you otherwise really can't, you know? Like, as an artist, if you have a song that really speaks to people's hearts, like, you could be really helping people that you might not ever meet, you know? And it's pretty crazy to think that that's just something that music makes possible.
Right.
So yeah, I guess between that and just kind of falling in love with music in general, it's all kind of started when I was about 14 or so. Year before that, I'd asked for a banjo for Christmas because I'd only been playing trumpet in like the middle school band up until that point. And I played around with the banjo for a while, but I couldn't really get the hang of it. And I don't know. I love bluegrass music, but I just didn't see like what else there was to do with the banjo at the time. So I started picking up like whatever I could find in my parents' house. Like, we had a bass guitar in the closet, so I picked that up. I played bass for a little while, probably about 6 months of just playing bass before I even picked up a guitar, and was like, hey, maybe I should try to take what I've learned on banjo and bass and try a guitar out. And then I finally did, and I learned a few chords. My dad taught me like a scale and a few chords, and I just started going from there. Like, I would read tabs on the internet of songs that I liked and just try to figure out how to play certain songs. And once I realized, you know, a song is basically just like an arrangement of chords in a certain rhythm, and then you have a melody vocals usually.
Right.
So for that, I guess that's really kind of what my foundation was just really listening to a lot of Bright Eyes and then discovering how to play new instruments and just falling in love with how simple it is, really, because it's not too terribly hard to write a song. I don't know about a good song. That might be a little more difficult, but songs in general.
I think you're doing all right.
Well, thank you, man. That means a lot to me. I'm trying.
So when did you write your first song?
Well, I believe I was about 14 or 15 because it was after I broke up with my first actual girlfriend, and I mean that's super cliche, I know, but the heartbreak definitely. Or I don't know if you even want to call it heartbreak. Once I've lived a little as an adult, I've kind of learned, it might not have been that serious. But at the time, it was my whole world was crashing around me. I was a little lonely, angsty teenager, and I needed some kind of outlet. So, and I never really did write an actual song about her or breaking up. I just kind of started writing lyrics, and they're really stupid and cheesy, and I don't even think any of them even turned into songs, but that kind of got me into the habit of writing. And so from there, I think when I was about 15, I wrote my song, Any Port in the Storm, which I do still play. And maybe I shouldn't. I saw a meme or a status or something a while ago on Facebook, and someone was talking about how guys in bands will still sing the songs they wrote in high school 10 years later. And I was like, damn, they got me.
Yeah. I've got one I still play that
Do
I
you?
wrote when I was 15. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I think there really is something magical about that because it's like a piece of you, you carry it with
for
you.
Sure.
You preserve it in a way. But yeah, I wrote Any Port in the Storm, and it was kind of funny because what wound up happening is I had sat down to write a song where my main goal was basically just to make cool sounding words into a coherent song because I liked a lot of the abstract lyrics that I heard in Modest Mouse songs, and I loved all the imagery and the weird metaphors that I didn't really hear in other artists. And I'm not saying I listened to a whole spectrum of music when I was a teenager. I was that cringy kind of yeah, country rap, that's not real music. Rock and roll is real music or whatever, but I didn't even listen to rock and roll. I was just listening to emo music.
Right.
But I sat down and I wrote the lyrics to it, and it took me maybe about 2 or 3 years to actually piece the song together because I had the lyrics that I liked a lot, and I sort of messed with them here and there, but I didn't really get any guitar parts written until I was 18, and I was kind of messing around with this riff that kind of was it was like a Red Hot Chili Peppers meets Modest Mouse kind of riff, at least in my head, because it had the main riff is basically me just playing the A string for the bass note, which is this root note of the chords that I play. And then I'd use my middle finger just to pluck on the B string and get kind of a little simple harmony going. But I thought it was really cool. And I started playing with the words that I'd written to Any Port in the Storm. And I had the title and everything. So I just put it together with the guitar part. And over the years, it turned into a song. It was kind of a long process. But before that, I mean, I would record some ideas into Audacity. I had just a Tascam mixer, and then I would plug my microphones into that, and then I would plug that into a PV mixing amplifier head. And then from there, I think I had the tape out into an 1/8 inch jack that I plugged into the computer's microphone port or whatever. So that was how I recorded.
Is that still kind of your process to write lyrics and then come up with music around that, or?
I've learned a lot. I've changed a lot of ways that I write songs. I guess really there's no one way that I do it anymore because I kind of learned over the years that songs can really come from anything. I mean, I remember reading some interview, I think it was in a guitar magazine, maybe, but it was with Connor Oberst of Bright Eyes, and he was talking about how he wrote music, and he said that it was always different. Sometimes he'd have like chords and he'd put words to it, or sometimes he'd like catch a melody while he was like in the shower and just whistle it, and then go out and pick up an instrument and see like what fits with that melody that he whistled. And so I kind of learned like there's really no rules to songwriting. It's up to you what you want to do with it. It's like painting or anything else creative. Like it really is up to you what you want to put in that song. So like if you want a melody, I don't know. I guess my process now is basically like a mix of different normal techniques. Like, you might start with some chords and then maybe you find some cool little melodies. Like you might be playing guitar and find a vocal melody that way. Like, trying to come up with an interlude in the middle of a song. You might find that like the guitar, if you were playing, sounds really cool when you sing it. Or you might just have something stuck in your head. Like these days, something I catch myself doing a lot is I'll just be driving somewhere and then I'll start singing. Like I'll have like ideas for lyrics that are kind of vague and stream of consciousness ish. And so I'll start singing something, and then I might like it enough that I'll like hit record on my phone's little voice memo function, and then I'll take that back home, and I've got too many of those notes now, so
Right.
it's hard to pick just one. But that's been kind of like, I guess, the main change over the years in my process is that I've opened myself up to not just trying to write a song one way or the other, but being open to the ideas as they come, and then trying to develop that discipline to like really put your writing skills under focus and just like take those ideas and draft them and change things. There's so many ways to write a song. It's just like, how do you pick just one?
Right. So you you'll have different drafts and things over time, and
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of my songs have changed over times, like over time. I mean, like the songs I play today, even with Forest Fox, they've undergone a lot of changes. Not all of them have been really drastic either. Some of them have just been like just arrangement choices that maybe people haven't even noticed, but just little things like that. I find myself not wanting to change songs too much once they've been like written and performed for a while. I still like to keep ideas fresh too, so it's like,
are they ever complete?
I guess that's the real question, isn't it? Are they ever complete? I don't really know. I kind of like leaving that open because I feel like when you perform a song that you know really well live and your band's really good, it leaves some kind of space for you all as a musical unit to explore new ideas within a structure that's already existing, which can be a lot of fun. And I don't think that's like totally taboo for musicians to do, but I also don't think,
no, not at all.
I don't think a lot of people realize it either. I don't know. But then again, I mean, if you're like a fan of a band for long enough, you'll inevitably see like a live performance where they change something, I feel like.
Especially if you're a Grateful Dead fan.
For true, man.
So, how important are lyrics to you? Is that something that's really weighs heavily on your writing, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I guess it depends on the idea too, but like lyrics for me have always been pretty intrinsic to the songwriting process. Like if I feel like, say if I start with just writing a song with like some guitar chords or something, I have to find a way to make the lyrics match whatever emotions the guitar chords and stuff makes me feel. Because if they don't, like to me, it just kind of feels like I'm fuddling around with ideas until I get something that sticks. So when I sit down to actually write something, I try to, I really love like this age to make music in, like this timeline we're in right now. It's great for songwriting because like you can grab like a Zoom H4n or your phone or like anything, or you might have like a home recording setup and you can just sit down and like put down the guitar parts and then you can listen to it. I really like being able to do that because that kind of gives me that extra time to just sit and concentrate on the lyrics, or vice versa. Like if I start with lyrics, and it's weird too, like seeing how different those songs can be just in like the approach, because I feel like if I start a song and I'm writing it with the music first, it's like the lyrics are going to fit with the music. So it's kind of like you have open space to figure out what the lyrics are going to be, but you already have kind of limited yourself in that method because you've got the song written a certain way with the chords and the harmonies that you've picked out. Whereas with if you start with the lyrics, I feel like it's kind of the same thing. Like if I start writing lyrics first, I want the music to fit, obviously, but I feel like you have almost more freedom. I don't know. I guess it just kind of depends what comes first. Like if there's a line to a chorus that pops up in your head first, then you can kind of make the song around that. Or if you come up with a guitar riff or like little chord progression, then you can build off that. I don't know. It seems like it all goes the same direction.
When writing lyrics, how important is it to say what you're wanting to say,
I'll,
as opposed to making the line fit into the song?
that's
So
a good
aesthetically,
question.
it sounds good.
That's a really good question. You know, I don't know if I've thought like a whole lot on that because I feel like my mind's always on the former there. Just like being able to say what I really want to say. I feel like if I write a song and the lyrics are like, you know, let's say they're just like really meaningful lyrics. It might be any topic, but like if it's what I'm passionate about, I really want to be able to speak my mind on it. And so I feel like at that point, like it's up to you to develop the skills as a writer to know how rhyme and rhythm and meter works. And like, you know, you might have a thesaurus or whatever kind of resource you use. A rhyming dictionary can be really helpful. But I think that's the fun thing about writing lyrics in a song is that you have to you have to really choose carefully what you're writing because you want to say what you want to say, but also like it can't just be totally idiosyncratic, you know, like something has to rhyme eventually.
Right.
Or maybe it doesn't, but
Or it has to fit into a cadence of some sort.
yeah,
And
that's a great way to
and
put it. That's the truth.
and there's different thoughts on how important it is to nail the cadence
Yeah.
or to nail the rhyme
Right.
or or to get across what you're saying instead. I mean, sometimes Dylan wouldn't rhyme at all.
That's true. And you know, he's a pretty prolific songwriter.
That he is. So, do you deal with writer's block at all?
Yeah, it's something I've struggled with, I'd say more than most things, but I don't know. The older I get, I feel like it's really just a matter of discipline. Like it's up to you whether or not you're going to sit down and try to write something every day. And I feel like when you do that, you're kind of exercising these like songwriting muscles, if you will, inside your brain.
So, are you able to write every day?
I wish I could say that, but between work and like recently becoming a father, it's been hard it's been hard for me to manage the time to like make time for that. And I don't think that like I've totally like gone away from writing, but like most of it has been just voice memos and stuff for the past year or so, which
So you don't schedule time to sit down and write?
no, I usually try to find time when I can, and that's sporadic because I've been working like second shift, third shift, first shift, all sorts of
Right.
shifts this past year. And, you know, I try to be there for my partner as much as I can. And she's really supportive of my music and me pursuing it, which is awesome. Like Oh, I'm so grateful for it, dude, and I can't even really express that kind of gratitude.
Right.
But
That's great.
it's special. And then, I don't want to be away from my kid more than I have to. Work already takes enough time, so it's kind of like
Right.
I just find time for it when I can. And I think as I'll grow and become older and get more used to like adapting to being a parent, like I'll inevitably find time for what I want to do. And I think really it's been kind of a mistake on my part for me to just like not even try to do like the little writing exercises because it wouldn't be much to just sit down for 5 minutes at a time. Like I've got 5 minutes to make coffee in the morning. That's 5 minutes to write, you
For
know?
sure.
But
So how much is having a new baby and a family? How much has that
Phew.
changed everything in the last year or so?
Drastically, I'd say in short,
Yeah.
because it really it definitely forces you to be more willful with how you spend your time. Because with having less idle time, you don't really get to have like your leisure of choosing when you get to do something that you want to do. You just have to work around your priorities and responsibilities and just find what time you can. But I feel like there's a difference between like, sometimes people say like they have to find time for stuff or make time for stuff. And I feel like that's where will comes into play. Because if you want something enough, you will make time to do it, no matter how busy you are. And I mean, I know not everybody could probably say that. Like, it's a bit of a privilege to have a partner that's really supportive of me pursuing my craft. So for other people, I mean, that might not be the reality. And I don't know how I'd fare in that, but like, I'm just grateful for what I have. I'd say it's nice to be able to make, like, if I play guitar in a day for 30 minutes, that's a big accomplishment for me.
It makes it rough with a baby in the house.
Yeah, it can. But another thing that's cool is he really likes guitar. So, I mean, I can sit and play to him, and he really likes to play it though. So it's like if I really want to work on something, I have to give him a distraction.
Right.
Otherwise, he'll come up and twist the knobs and snap the strings. But I don't mind that. I love watching that.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Um, so what bands have you been in the past?
Oh, well, I guess I'm trying to think of how far back I should go. I'd actually counted this up not too long ago, and I think I've been in like a dozen bands or so. But this also includes like my time in like the I consider like my time spent in school band all one thing, even though like there's separation between elementary school band, middle school band, and like high school concert band. But I was in all of those. Like from fifth grade on to when I graduated. Like fifth grade was when we had our chance to like try out for the band, and I was able to get in and play trumpet. And I just kind of stuck with that for a while until I was like 13, 14. Then I wanted to play banjo, and then I found the bass, and then I started playing
Right.
guitar.
How much do you think that helped you?
Oh, tremendously.
Being in school band and learning how to read.
I think it was an amazing opportunity, and I hate to say it, but it was a huge privilege too, because not every school focuses on those kind of resources. Not all of them can afford them either, which is a real shame because I think even if you don't go on to be a musician that's a professional working musician, or even if it's not even a hobby, learning music, music theory, how to play an instrument, those are all wonderful things for your brain and for yourself if you're able to do it, you
Yeah,
know?
I don't think any school can afford not to have a music program.
I
I
totally
think you're
agree.
really missing out on education
I agree with you,
if you don't
totally.
have a music program in place.
Yeah. Even a music appreciation class can go a long way. We had some of those. But yeah, so well, I stuck with that. I was in the choir. I would always be like once I started getting good enough to play guitar, at least in my mind, like to other people, I started like begging my band directors like, let me play a Christmas jazz song or like something or like I think the first time I played a guitar in school was I played bass when we did like a medley of songs from the musical Chicago, which I was thinking about that today because like that was the first time I played guitar on stage, and I left my music in the band room. So I had, right before we all went up to play it, everyone was all ready to go. I had to go run back into the band room and get the sheet music. And I was like, damn it, dude, I'm giving bass players a bad rap.
Bass players always get a bad rap.
Yeah, I don't know why either. They really are like essential. If you don't have a bass player in your band, you need one.
Just don't tell them that.
Ooh, man. I don't know. I think some of them need to know they're important. Maybe not all of them. I guess it depends. But yeah, back on topic. Sorry, I go in so many tangents. I guess that's what happens when you just like center your life around one thing. Because I just love music. I love making it. I love being around it. I love seeing people make it. Um, anyway, back to the school stuff. So eventually we started a jazz band, which was really cool because we didn't have a jazz band, I think, until either my junior, yeah, I think my junior year in high school is when it started. But me and a few other students and from the concert band kind of got together, and our band director, he was a really awesome guy, Kevin Lockwood, and he just, I mean, he's a solid guy, loves music, excellent drummer, like one of the best musicians I've ever met. And he really wanted to take our school's music programs a lot further, and he really did that. Like he started the marching band back up, which I don't know when the last time it was that we had one, but we had like pep band and stuff when I had started getting into the concert band. But we didn't have like a marching band for Williamsburg or anything like that. And he was really passionate about getting that going. So kind of just basically played in all the school bands. Like there was a choir. I was in that for a couple years, was in the jazz band. Um, and I would always kind of find people to jam with. Like there weren't a whole lot of musicians in my school, but like there were definitely a few like close friends that like they'd play guitar or drums or something. And I played on the talent shows and stuff, and like a couple years I just kind of tossed some bands together with some friends just so we could play in the talent show, which was cool. So I don't know how many bands I was in like when I was in school. I don't really count any of them because nothing lasted after I graduated. But there was kind of like a garage rock band I was in, like right out of high school, and like as I was leaving it with my friend and then his neighbor's nephew, which was called the Yardnecks, and that was a really interesting band. I played I guess lead guitar because my friend he played drums, and then his neighbor's nephew he played rhythm guitar and then did like lead vocals, and we played like some heavy blues garage rock kind of stuff, like sort of influenced by the Velvet Underground, and then also just all the other weird stuff that me and those guys listened to. But it was a fun little stint. Like we played a couple shows at I think it was called Uncle Ed's. It's a bar in like Amelia or like outside of it in Hamlet, and it was it was pretty weird playing there because like I wasn't used to the bar atmosphere. I was like 18 or 19 when we played there, I think. And the second gig, our singer, he was like, I don't know what was going on at the time, but he, I guess, was like out of his mind with someone as they were going through a McDonald's drive-through, and cops got called. He got arrested or something. We got a call, like basically my friend and I found out like he was in jail, and that was right before we went on to play that show, which was our second show at Uncle Ed's. And that was the first time I stepped up and like really sang vocals.
Wow, how was that?
Nerve-wracking, terrifying, but I really fell in love with it. Like through that experience, I I I will always be grateful for being in a band with those guys and for that crazy night, because I don't think I'd really have I don't really know how long it would have taken me or if I would have gotten into being a front man if it wasn't for that night because I was always pretty comfortable just playing guitar. Like, that was another thing I was gonna mention. I was in the church band for a while too. There was a Methodist church that there was like this really cool guy that was in bands that I looked up to a lot, and he started playing violin. And one day he was like, "Hey, dude, come watch me play violin at church this Sunday." And so I did. And then I found out they had like a youth praise band that played there. And I wasn't and never really have been religious, but like they were all really good, wholesome, kind, sweet people. And there were some really talented musicians in that band. So I just kind of hopped into that. And I think I played with that band for like a year and a half or so. And we did some really cool stuff. Like we went out to this church in like Sparta, Kentucky one time, I think. And we played a show at like another church. And it was really cool. It was different being in a worship band because it's like, it's not about the music. Like the music is part of the worshiping, I guess. But I guess it depends like what church you're in or like I'm not sure. I haven't played in a church band since. Don't really plan on it. Nothing against it or anything. Just like I've found the experience in music that I want and that was just kind of part of exploring it. But it was really cool. Like those people were so supportive and like I actually just went and saw like a Facebook memory the other day that was the old youth pastor telling me like how glad she was that I could come out and like share the music or something like that. It was just
Oh,
really
that's great.
sweet. Yeah, they were nice people and I miss them.
Yeah, that's
um,
that's a that's a really great thing to do.
yeah, it really is because even if
It's nice that stuff like that's out there.
I totally agree. And I think that it was really essential to my foundation as a growing musician because a lot of it was me like learning how to play in a band. And I was playing guitar, so I got to play the instrument that I really wanted to play. And they were really liberal with like letting me kind of play like a lot of lead. And I don't think I was that great, but I mean, I guess I was good enough. But I would usually kind of like um, imitate like the vocal melodies and stuff. So that was cool because like I got to learn how chord changes and progressions worked and like some key
That,
changes and stuff.
that's a place where a lot of people get their foundation from
Yeah,
and learn harmonies and things. It's a great place to start for sure.
absolutely. And what was funny too is like, because I'd keep my nose in like Wikipedia pages or magazines about musicians and stuff. So like, I was fully aware like how intrinsic being in a church band was for a lot of musicians and like a lot of famous ones too. You know.
Right.
Uh,
Let's bring it to the present.
yeah.
Forest Fox. What's going on there?
Oh man. Well, I guess really what's going on now is like we've got a very solid lineup. Right now it's Brandon, Alex, and I. Brandon's been playing bass, and Alex is the drummer. We're actually transitioning. We're wanting to get Brandon on guitar because that's his main instrument. And the band that he played before he joined Forest Fox, he was like their front man for the longest time. I'm pretty sure. Um, but anyway, like we're basically just like really comfortable with this group we have, and so we're kind of nervous, but we want Brandon to play guitar, so because he's a really good singer too, and he has. It's hard to play bass and sing at the same time. Like I used to think that it would be easier than playing guitar and singing at the same time, but when you got to focus on that rhythm, man, you can't. It's hard to keep your brain in two places at the same time
You
like
can't
that.
sway on timing on the bass.
No, you cannot. Now, you can chunk a power chord and still sing over it, but like uh, that root or that fifth that lands where that bass kick falls, like you can't screw that up.
So you've had Forest Fox going for a while.
Yeah, so Forest
Uh,
Fox has been around for like, is a name, it's been around for about 5 years now. 2014. I'm going to back up a little bit because out of high school, after I played in the Yard Next for a little while, my friend Trevor and I, we still would play like random shows. Like We played at the American Legion Hall in Williamsburg one time. We played at a friend's graduation party. Not really anything super official. And then we went out on a road trip, and like it was during the Occupy Wall Street protests. So we literally would just go hang out at parks in big cities, and like we'd find people to just hang out with, and like we'd camp out at these parks with people that were protesting. We became part of the protest, and then we'd play music when we could. We crashed on someone's couch in like Austin, Texas for 2 weeks, and we played a house party there. And then some freaking MC homeless from Youngstown, Ohio. I don't know how we wound up in the same place, but we did. But he spilled a beer on my amp. And
Oh.
it was a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe, so like the tubes were fried. So I didn't really have much ambition for staying in Texas, and my friend had met a girl, and they were hitting it off really well. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a Greyhound bus back home. So I was really depressed when I got back, but my friends, they would just kind of urge me to get out, and like we'd go to this open mic at Mad Frog, and it was really cool. That was kind of like where we would hang out. It was just Clifton and Cincinnati. Like they had Baba Boudin's, which is now I think called the Bearcat Cafe, and there was the Mad Frog, which obviously still the Mad Frog. But both of those places had open mics, and we just kind of started playing there. We moved there eventually, or actually, no, we moved there before we left for that road trip. Anyway, I don't want to backtrack too much. Fast forward through that a little bit. Never really got anything serious going, and then I met this guy named Paulo Moore at an open mic at Baba Boudin's. He saw us kind of jamming, and he was like, "Hey, dude, you can do some really cool stuff with the guitar. I like that you kind of have like that Modest Mouse influence style." Because I love one thing I love about Isaac Brock's guitar playing in Modest Mouse is like his use of the tremolo or the vibrato, whatever you call it, the whammy bar.
Right.
But you know, he'd play a little harmonic and go wee 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 stuff like that. So I would imitate that. And,
Plus, it's a lot of fun just to jerk
yeah,
on a whammy bar.
exactly. But yeah, anyway, so that guy was like, "Hey man, you should join my band." And I was living with my parents again, so like he'd have to come pick me up like 45 minutes away from Cincy, you know. And eventually he was like, "Dude, this is getting kind of hard. You want to just move in with me?" And I was like, "I ain't got nothing else to do but play in this band, so yeah." And I played in the band called Vaudeville's Dead for it was like almost a year, I think, maybe 9 months, because we practiced for like a whole spring and summer, and we played a big show that was like really well planned out. Everything went right, and then we just kind of fell apart after that, which was unfortunate, but it was a really cool experience, and it was kind of my first blush into like the Cincinnati music scene, I guess. Not that I really knew everyone and everything about it, but I made a lot of friends out that way, and it kind of felt like I was part of the music scene. So I was like, huh, this is what it's like. And anyway, through that, eventually I wound up in a relationship, and we were together for about 2 years. And so I lived in Cincinnati for about 2 years. And in that time, I started going out to open mics, and they had one in Covington called, well, it was at a place called the Backstage Cafe, which is a really cool place that I miss and a lot of other people miss a lot. But that was when I really started to get to know a lot of people and like figure out like,
Is that the place right by the Madison?
yeah, absolutely. That's
I
the.
met the Whalers there one day. I had
Did you
lunch,
really?
had dinner with them. Yeah, it was
No
awesome.
way, dude. That's
They
killer.
were playing the Madison, and I had went there for an open mic and I went to meet up with some people, and had gotten there a little early and was having a hamburger. And all these Jamaican guys sit down around me, and they're talking and going on, and I'm like, "Hey, wait a minute, you guys look really familiar." And it turned out to be the Whalers. It was really awesome.
Holy shit, dude, that is so cool. And I bet they were a joy to hang out with.
Yeah, they nice guys.
I believe it. Man, that's so cool. I miss that place for reasons like that, because I feel like it being so close to the Madison Theater. It's like it was definitely part of the music scene. Like it seemed like that anyway. You'd meet so many cool people there. Um, but yeah, basically, I just started playing those open mics a lot, and that relationship ended. So I moved back out to the Boons in Claremont County, and I kind of just, I don't know, man. Most of my adult life has been a mess, so I never really stuck with one direction or the other. And for most of my early 20s, it was like I was just kind of like an aimlessly wandering piece of shit that just really wanted to play music but couldn't get himself together to do it. And I kind of had like 4 or 5 different formations of Forest Fox throughout the years because I started just playing like solo shows as Forest Fox, and it was cool. I played a lot of the same songs I play now, but just, more of a songwritery, folky kind of format because I would just play acoustic guitar, and had a few friends come in and out over the years. We were a 2-piece for a while, a 3-piece, a 2-piece again, a 3-piece, and it would change a lot. I also joined a couple of bands in 2015, Saint Pickle, which was a psychobilly band,
Wow.
and Cardboard Derby, which was really kind of like, I guess, like a post-hardcore emo band. A lot of different influences, and that was a really awesome experience. Both of those bands really had people in it that were just so together, and like they were the people, like the band leaders in those bands were like they're really inspirational and influential because it kind of taught me and showed me, okay, this is how a band should work. Like, we didn't like blow up, but like we played some good shows. Like Saint Pickle recorded an album. That was the first album I like really recorded on, and it was just an awesome experience getting to see like what it actually takes to be in a band. Because up to that point, like I just wanted to be like able to have a band, and I just so many different combinations of things, like it just wasn't working out for me.
Most
So
people thinks it's all just partying and a good time and the music just happens, but
that's wishful
you,
thinking.
you've really got to have somebody with some structure there.
You do, absolutely. And that that really gave me a chance to learn that too. It was like that was what my band had always lacked, was that I just didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't know how to put structure in place for me and my bandmates to be able to actually do what we wanted to do. And I eventually left St. Pickle and Cardboard Derby because I really wanted to focus on Forest Fox. And sometimes I kind of regret that because I miss playing with all those people. Like, psychobilly isn't like my preferred style of music, but it was really fun just getting to be like the crazy wild lead guitarist that would like spin around on a floor and stuff like that.
Those
Like
guys are real showmen.
they really are. And
I've seen the Reverend Horton Heat more times
oh my
than I
god,
can even
man.
count. He's my hero.
That guy is amazing. I went through a phase when I was like 16, 17 where I just really wanted a big orange scratch guitar and I just wanted to play rockabilly. I never really did get like where I wanted to go with that, but I also explored a lot of different styles and genres, so it was just kind of a cool part of the process of learning an instrument.
Heck yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess to come a little more full circle, so like where I'm at now with Forest Fox is it's kind of just like we have reformatted the format of the band before this, or the lineup, I guess I should say, was really cool and exciting, and we played some really killer shows. Like we went up to Wisconsin and we played like at this little, it's like a local, or it was the college radio station music fest um, up in Belvoir, Wisconsin.
How do you get a show like that?
I had a friend that went to college there,
Oh, great.
and she happened to be
It's all
friend.
about networking.
It really is, and yeah, she happened to be friends with the radio's program director, I believe, and they were looking for bands to play that. So I was like, she messaged me about it, and I was like, hell yeah! And I told the boys, and they were like, hell yeah! And we went up there and we did it, and it was a really good time. And I don't know. A lot of things kind of happened in my life the past couple of years where like I just fell out of a circle of friends pretty I don't know if I'd say violently, but it was like pretty dramatic. I made a pretty dramatic exit from a lot of people's lives, and that formation of the band went kaput, and so I kind of had to start from scratch again. But well, not entirely because we Alex, he was the drummer in the band before that formation like completely fell apart. Towards the end of it, anyway. And so it was, I guess, more like me and Alex starting from scratch after it all ended. And I don't know, this past year has been really amazing. Like, we had a show at Urban Artifacts last November, and we got a surprise. I got a message from the sound guy, and he was like, "Hey, do you want your stem files?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, we recorded your guys' set." And we were all stoked, but me, Brandon, and Alex had only been together as a band for like 2 weeks before that show.
Wow.
So we didn't have much practice time at all before it. But still, like, I had been wanting to have something to show for all these efforts, and we just all kind of agreed, hey, why not make a live album out of it?
Is that the live album
That
that's
is the
out?
live album, yeah. Live at
That's
Urban Artifact.
that's great.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and it's not even like I hate to say this, but it's not our best, and we know it. But we wanted to put ourselves out there. It was the best we could do at the time, and our friend Eric that mixed and mastered it, he did a really great job, and it's just really cool, like seeing the process of an album coming together because it involves so many different people, and that wasn't even like a studio album, so like we really just kind of like had our friends master some stem files from the venue, and then we got it together from there.
Nice. Is that the only recording you have out?
So far that's the only, like, yeah, more or less, because everything else like on our SoundCloud and the only other track on our Bandcamp, which there used to be more of, but those were all like demo quality, like home recordings or like recorded at whoever's practice space we were at. Which, I mean, there have been some good things. Like, I've definitely recorded some like demo quality stuff that I was really proud of. So there's a lot of fun in it, but at the same time, like when you want to be a professional musician or when you want to pursue an actual career in it, like you really can't do that, which is I feel like you can't or you're not supposed to. But it's about like caring about your listeners enough to want to make the best quality recordings for them. I think at least that's the perspective I have on it now anyway, is like I wouldn't want to ask people to buy a demo quality song because it would just kind of feel like selling them short, you know? Like they
Right.
can go listen to any other band and probably find studio quality tracks. Like, why shouldn't they be able to do the same with us?
It's all about making it happen.
It is, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Another cool thing to mention, I guess, is like sometime within 2015 to or 2016, yeah, 2016 to 2017. Well, there was Stage 3 Instruments, and like I got to know John Hart and then Lamont Marshall, and those guys really kind of took me under their wing a little bit, especially Lamont, because he actually hit me up and he was like, "Hey, dude, let's record an album." And that was my first time getting into a studio setting and recording my material. And oh man,
I,
once we get it all finished up, I'm really excited to, share it with the world and all.
I miss that place so bad.
I do too, man. It's there's a void there in our music community,
Yeah.
and I feel like when it went out of business, so did a lot of the music scene. I
But
don't
hey,
know.
at least we have an insurance company there now.
Right. Well, we'll need that to insure the new somethings. I don't know. Get some studio insurance. Do they sell that? Is that a thing? Or is that just renter's insurance?
There actually is studio insurance.
Really?
Where you can insure your equipment.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hey, you learn something new every day.
I learned it on a podcast from that Lid Shaw does
Oh,
for
no kidding.
recording studio rock stars.
Heck yeah, man.
And he had a guy on that does that.
Wow. That'd be a pretty interesting job.
Definitely.
Man.
Well, let's take a break
Okay.
and have you play some songs for us.
That sounds good to me, man.
Great.
I'm feeling crystalline in my life. Way down deep inside, I'm feeling crystalline. Well, my friend, I think I've gone just a little bit insane, trying to figure out the game we play with ourselves and everyone. Well, I heard it can be fun, but I just wanna run. I tried making my own rules and then got caught by the horns of the bull, and now I'm feeling like a fool. Yeah, what's the point? Well, I'm feeling just fine, even though I'm breathing fine. I am feeling crystalline in my life. Tell me what's the point of trying if it only leads to crying? And why bother holding someone else when you can barely hang on to yourself? I wonder why and shake my head, 'cause so many wind up dead just trying to survive. Oh, has the whole world gone mad? Or is this someone's master plan to enslave the entire human race? Man, I think I'd rather live in space. Yeah, I'm feeling just fine, even though I'm hanging on a wire. I am feeling crystalline in my life. I will not step aside or think of suicide. Tell me to step in line, and I'll tell you to get alive. 'Cause I'm feeling just fine. I'm feeling crystalline, and I'm feeling just fine. I'm feeling crystalline. Do you hear that sound rising through the treetops, high above the cities, floating over parking lots a sight to see. Wish I could show you everything. Lonely kids in flannel, just trying to figure it out without leaving a trace. Without leaving a trace. In Ohio, I carved our names into a tree. We'll go over hills and streams, chasing after dreams. Is it really different here than anywhere else? I guess you never know if you never leave. In summer it means swimming, riding roller coasters. We'll take a hair ride in the fall, and then go out to the outlet mall. Winter's for lovers, guess I'd better find one soon. And in spring I'll talk of leaving, but you know I never do. In Ohio, carve your name into me. We'll go over hills and streams, chasing after dreams. The corn is overgrown, secrets seldom shown, where your heart is your true home. Oh, oh, Ohio. It's hard to put into words the magic that I heard from every band that played in a basement, to all the late night conversations involving back roads and all night diners. Out here, I'll whisper the dirty river secrets, follow down to the Queen City, yeah. Maybe you'll find yourself in Ohio, where my love is in the breeze. But if really messy hair at 4 in the morning. Well, I'm tired and it's getting boring in your room at 4 in the morning. So let's get in my car and drive around the interstate while we're falling out of states and thoughts of lust and love, pancake houses. Whoa. Dirtiest clean I know, and that's really all I needed. Yeah, oh yeah. Floral blouse was entrancing me, just like it's supposed to do, taking my mind off all of the silence, one-sided romancing and glancing from the strangers in the room. Darling, I know that it's you. Yes, I know, because of the black coffee we share and the way that you got me, yeah. Whoa. I'm meeting all your ghosts, 'cause you're the dirtiest clean I know. That's really all I need.
All right. That was great.
Well, thanks for giving me the space to do it, man. Things sound great inside here.
Thanks.
So this is ManHound Studios, right?
ManHound Sound Studios.
ManHound Sound Studios.
Right here outside of Morristown, Ohio.
Heck yeah, dude. This place is about to blow up.
I sure hope so.
Me too, man. You deserve it.
Looking forward to doing some local acts and giving people a chance to let their songs be heard.
That's excellent, man.
That's really what I'm looking to do.
I think that's a beautiful thing. Not a lot of people are able to really find people like that, So especially out here in the middle of Brown County, or is this Highland or Brown?
This is actually Highland County. You cross the line about a mile down the road.
Well, either way, I mean, we're out here,
Right.
It's awesome that you have yourself out here and your studio out here. Like it's so surprising too, because like if you drove by this place, you'd never know what was inside.
Thanks. So do you write songs with other people at all?
I'm wanting to get back into it. It's been a little while. I've always kind of done that off and on, depending on what band I'm in, and it's I love collaborating. Honestly, I prefer to write songs with people, just because you have so many different influences in whatever the input is for that particular song or whatever you're working on. And I feel like that really just kind of opens things up. I mean, I know it can make things more complicated, but in my experience so far, it's been I've had an easier time writing with other people than I have just with myself. Or at least maybe it seems that way because it seems like things go faster when you work with other people. I feel like with myself, I have a big tendency to get lost in my ideas and just kind of stuck in my head. And it's
You
easier to get writer's block that way.
you get that other perspective too.
Yeah,
It really helps out.
it does. It does.
What what are some of your big influences?
Um,
I
that's
mean, I know you've talked about Modest Mouse and
Bright
Bright
Eyes.
Eyes.
Jimi Hendrix. Love Jimi Hendrix, man. I mean, it's, I guess, kind of like not very different from anyone else that grew up with like WEBN on the radio. Because when I was a kid in the 90s, that's kind of all my parents played. So, I love Smashing Pumpkins. I like Nirvana. All the big grunge music and all the alternative rock that was pretty prevalent during the 90s. Like, I grew up listening to that. I'm not a fan of theirs, but I've listened to a lot of Metallica. I do love Ozzy Osbourne. That's just like all stuff I listened to when I was a kid. I guess right now, like, I'm kind of at a place where, like, I've listened, like, to Lauryn Hill and Chet Atkins and the Dixie Chicks and Daniel Johnston and um
Oh, I love Daniel Johnston. I was so
me
sad
too.
when he passed recently.
God, I know. God rest him, man. We really, 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 really. I don't know what we're gonna do without him. Like, he was such a pure influence in this world.
I,
It's just,
talk about songwriting in its rawest form.
yeah,
That guy really knew how to write a song,
yeah.
and at the same time, I don't think he even realized what he was doing.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I wish I really could have gotten to know him. I don't. I don't know what that would be like, but I feel. I feel you on that. I really do.
I
Cause
I heard him say that all those songs were about one girl,
uh, for
and
those
she never
listening,
knew that.
I I I can't really give you the visual of this any other way than explaining it, but I literally had to do a double take and step away from the mic when he said that all those songs were written about one girl. That's
All those songs were written about one girl, and she had no idea until that documentary come out.
oh my god.
And she found out at the premiere in the
Wow.
theater that all those songs were about her.
That's nuts, man. That's a lot to think about. I mean, I'm sure for her that's like that'd be overwhelming. Gosh.
But anyway,
Yeah, influences, I mean, they really run the gamut. I like the first songs I downloaded when I was like 13, I listened to I loved movie soundtracks for some reason. So like me and my friend Harry at the time, like we just loved like cheesy 80s movies and stuff and like I'd listen to like the Back to the Future soundtrack. Love that Johnny B. Good. And then
you
also on
gotta
the
love Huey Lewis and the News too.
oh, dude, yeah,
I always said if I ever won the lottery, I was gonna hire the News to be my backup band on an album.
that'd be awesome. You couldn't go wrong with that. But then on the other hand, like I was really interested in emo music, even though I didn't know what it was at the time. So like I just kind of listened to like, or I'd like Google like how do you be an emo kid, or like what do emo kids listen to? And so like I started listening to Cap'n Jazz and Jets to Brazil and the Get Up Kids. I still love the Get Up Kids, but so I was listening to that when I was 13 too, which was kind of a weird experience because I didn't have any other like musical taste. Like my parents loved Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Leonard Skinner, and I guess by proxy I did too for a time. But the older I get, the more I realize, like, I'm not really about the classic rock as much. Like, I still have love and respect for it, but, like, not in, like, if someone asked me Beatles or Elvis or Beatles or the Stones, like, I'm not going to pick any of those. None of those.
Where do you think your music falls into?
Um, I think the music I've been making now kind of falls into, like, Well, it's hard to say because, like, if you listen to our live album, you wouldn't hear this, but like lately, the stuff I've been practicing on guitar and writing is more kind of like alternative rock, Midwest emo, kind of like indie, and then math rock influences. And then I can never shake the Jimi Hendrix. Like, I just love his guitar solos so much. I love his voice. I love his guitar playing. I love his artistry in general. So it's like I can never really escape like that blues influenced psychedelic rock.
Right.
So I don't really
I
know what to call the music I make.
I've seen Forrest Fox in a couple different lineups, and I always thought of it as acid grunge.
Oh, dude, I like that. We might have to start using that. I'll give you credit for coining that
I'll
term.
take it.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, shit, that's a really cool way to look at it. I never thought about it like that. Because grunge is not something I really like credit a lot in my influences. Because I just kind of heard it in the car growing up, and like, I mean, I like Nirvana and I like the Smashing Pumpkins, but like, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with Pearl Jam or Stone Temple Pilots, and I know those aren't even all the grunge bands. Like there's like Mudhoney and the Melvins and like so many other influential bands. Soundgarden, like I love all that music, but kind of from a distance because it's not really what I listen to. Like it for me, if I were to listen to that music, I think at this point it might be more for nostalgia. Maybe there's some appreciation of that music I haven't quite acquired yet, but like I love that I do have that influence. So because that music is so influential to so many people, I kind of I feel like it's something like I couldn't avoid even if I wanted to.
Right. Right.
but uh but it's still special to me. Like grunge music in general, I think
I
we
think you
re-
probably just missed it
yeah,
by a few years.
that's really all it was. I was born in 1992, so like anything that
Well,
I heard on the radio during that time was like in one ear out the other, and like I try to sing along with it, but wouldn't really know the words. So I
yeah,
don't
they
know.
really took everything over about 91,
Really,
and it
man,
it really changed what was going on the radio and music in general at that time. It was really drastic.
that's such an amazing thing. Like I wish I could have like been there to experience that as an adult or at least like a teenager even because I feel like it's hard to appreciate those sorts of things when you're a child unless like you're really passionate about that. I was passionate about Legos though, so like that wasn't really on my radar at the time.
What what's your favorite local bands around here?
Oh man. Gosh. I've always loved the Yugos. I think those guys are really great. I've been getting back into season 10. I used to actually see them every now and then. I don't know if they would come out to the open mics as much as I'm thinking they did for whatever reason, but I feel like I know that I met season 10 out in the backstage at some point. Those guys are great. Really love Feral Friends. Forrest Fox and we've played several shows with them now. They're great. Very, very rock and roll. They're like hard blues, alternative rock, kind of like a weird mix of things. They got their own thing going on, but it'll rock your face off.
Heck yeah.
um, ooh, another one of my local favorites, Harlot. Harlot and the Hounds, I think, is what they go by now, or is what they are with like the Fuller band setup. I haven't got to see him for a while, unfortunately, but I think they just finished up recording, and they're just like very or I don't know how to describe it. They're like a musical phenomena. They just I don't know what to call their music. I guess folk, but just their harmonies and like the guitar and banjo playing. That's so beautiful.
Heck yeah.
I love Harlot. Trying to think of some other good locals. There's so many. It's hard to. I want to give shout outs to everyone. um, trying to think. This shouldn't be hard, but now I'm on the spot, so I'm like, Slow Glows. So that's a really good band. They're kind of shoegazy. They brought out a vinyl record. It's really really cool sound. I'm not super well versed in shoegaze, so I don't know like what to compare it to, but I guess kind of like a really mm, like Galaxy 500 maybe uh influence band. I don't know. Gotta forgive me, shoegaze fans out there listening to this. I don't really know my stuff, but they are shoegaze and they're really good. And then there's another band, Soften. They're really awesome. They've got kind of like a dreamy sound almost, and it seems like they've been blowing up pretty quick. Um, some other bands and groups and artists. Let's see, there is a really tremendous singer, and I hope I don't mess her name up. I believe it's Lauren Smith, but I found her on Instagram earlier this year, and she has like one of the most beautiful and soulful voices I've ever heard.
Really?
Yeah, and God, I hope I get that right. If I don't get that right and I come to find that out later, I will message you and then just make a disclaimer when you post this episode.
We'll
uh,
we'll edit it and
there we
do
go.
one of those Chinese movie
Do a dub.
overdubs. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Another group to check out. Shoot, just had their name on the tip of my tongue, and they're pretty well known, I think. Tribe, but it's got like three eyes in it. Those people are so cool. They are making like some really awesome hip hop music, but they're very community centric and like they do all kinds of things. Like I think last winter or something, I have a hard time keeping up with bands. Like I'll just kind of like watch videos and stuff when I can. I don't really get to go to a whole lot of shows and stuff, but I think they did like some kind of coat drive or something. Like they're it seems like they're always doing something good for their community, like with their events and stuff. But I would definitely check them out. And then old Justin Chambers, I feel like he deserves more spotlight just for being who he is. So
Go Justin.
I would
I'm gonna
recommend
have
people
him on the
check him out.
podcast. So
Are you?
yes.
Awesome, man. God, that's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be listening
Yeah, I'm
on.
looking forward to it. That is the most determined son of a bitch I've ever met.
My God, man, the gumption of that guy. There ain't nothing like it. He's like from a different generation.
Yeah. Yeah, if I had half the go get that he did,
Oh man, me too.
I could
Seriously.
accomplish something, I think.
He is always after it, man. I don't see anyone else posting things like, "Hey, anyone got like a party in Mount Orb this weekend? I can come play it." Like stuff like that.
Exactly.
That's ambitious. That's
Constantly looking for a gig.
yes. That's what it's all about, man.
And who else gets free jeans
I don't
for
know.
writing a song?
Ain't no one else out there writing song
That's a
about
great
Wrangler.
story. I'll have to
Yeah,
make sure and have him tell that when he's on the podcast.
for sure, man. Because that song's pretty good, you know.
It really is.
But it won him a pair of free Wranglers. You know? I can never get over that. That guy is a legend already.
He definitely is a local celebrity.
Yes, to the T, man.
So, what's your favorite venue around here to play?
Love Urban Artifact. That's a really fun place to play. Atmosphere, all the people, the sound system, everything's great. Trying to think. Southgate House Revival. Love playing there. Upstairs, downstairs, where the bar is. Don't matter what room. It's all pretty good.
Have you got to play the Sanctuary?
I have, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's awesome. And it's actually been a few years, but sounded great back in 2015ish, I think.
That's such a great venue.
It is legendary, really, and they deserve all the support in the world, I think, because they really care.
Yeah, I think they really stepped up when they moved over to that building out of the Thompson House. I think
Yeah.
it's a much better venue.
I agree. I'm actually not familiar with how the Thompson House used to be. Like I guess back when it was the Southgate House.
Right.
But I played the Thompson House and the Southgate House, I guess, after that transition. And yeah, I mean, they're both pretty good venues, but the Southgate House, man, they seem to really know what they're doing. and they seem to really, really have their hearts in it too.
They're great sounding rooms too.
Yeah, I know. I love that.
It's a great place to go see a show.
Like, you can't go wrong with any other rooms. And they got 3 rooms to watch bands in. Like, where else are you going to find that?
Right. Okay, one last question. What's the best song you got?
Whew. I would say probably right now, anyway, I think it would be Daisy Shaking, honestly. That's the one we always tend to close with because people seem to enjoy that the most, and it's got a lot of energy in it too. So it's just a really fun song. It's long. It's like maybe 7 minutes long, but I mean that's not unusual for Forest Fox.
Right.
We usually tend to run long. If I'm not jamming, then it's just long drawn or wordy. But yeah, we're wanting to write more songs like that. I guess I don't know what kind of influences are in there, but to me, when I hear it, it's like the verses are kind of like surf rock, and the chorus is like a post-hardcore kind of thing, and then the big riff is just kind of like a breakdown almost. So a lot of stuff going on in there, but yeah, I'd say it's one of our best. It's something that a lot of people will like clap and dance to when we play.
Great.
So, I mean, I guess we should probably do as much of that as we can for people.
Well, there you go, people. Go out to a Forest Fox show and make sure you wait around for the last song.
Yeah, that's right. And watch the other bands too, because we support local music up in here.
Corey, thanks for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Billy, thanks so much for having me, man. It's been an honor, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all the cool stuff you're going to do with this podcast, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you stuck around till the end. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Corey was great to have here, and I hope to do it again sometime. If you enjoyed the show, please take the time and go over to iTunes, give us a review. If you'd like to contact us about the show or about studio services, you can do that at manhoundsound@gmail.com. Join us next month with the smooth sounds of Nolan Taylor. I'm telling you, you won't want to miss that one. From ManHound Sound Studio, this has been ManHound Sound Sessions. Thanks for listening.